Welcome back to the Racial Draft Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Ford. I do not have a co-host this week, but I am blessed with a guest from the Latinx Delegation, Martin Sanchez. Martin, say what's up to the people.
What's up, people? I guess I'll be your co-host today, I guess.
I am the co-host now.
I'm the co-host now.
Well, hopefully things are okay on Kia's end.
Yeah.
Things can get crazy right now.
Mm-hmm.
But how have you been? How was the week?
I've been good, yeah. Yeah, nothing really all that bad. There's nothing really to talk about this week around, except for we did go and my niece recently turned 3.
Okay.
That's about it. And all of her gifts were Green Lantern stuff from it.
So you're just setting up the comic fan.
I mean, I have to. I mean, her parents are already starting her off because her dad's in the comics too.
Okay.
And he's like more of a Superman fan. My sister's kind of, and she's got kind of into them because of her husband, and she's a Wonder Woman fan. And
so it's just DC all around.
It's all DC all around now. Yeah, and then my niece's favorite show is DC Superhero Girls.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So it's DC from the get-go.
Get their hooks into early. That's a thing that they like to do.
This is a DC family.
Yeah, they definitely are the clubhouse leader when it comes to television geared towards small children.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good. That's cool. She's 3 and she's already getting into DC. We'll see what the future holds. Obviously there have been a lot of things kind of going along, with how DC's positioned within Warner and AT&T more generally.
Yeah, all that.
I still think that they're going to be, it's a realignment that's happening. It's happening in a lot of big corporations as they try to figure out how to streamline everything and make things more profitable, which usually leads to fewer employees. But I think, there are some large conversations to be had about what comic publishing is going to look like. I think there's going to be a lot more digital stuff. And I think, kind of what we've been seeing a lot on the Marvel side is a lot more limited series. I think it's going to be very rare to have runs that go triple digits. I think we're going to see a lot more 20 run, 50 run books so that they can come back in with a relaunch. But we'll see. I mean, in the world of comic book news is doing a weird thing where it's sort of intersecting with real world news. I mean, obviously we had last week's tragedy with Chadwick, and this week we had things that were, while not as tragic, so are still sort of stark reminders of the fact that there is a real world and there's still a pandemic and it's still scary. We had 3 actors associated with some of our bigger franchises either test positive or talk about past positive tests for COVID-19. Of course, we had the big news of the Batman being, the filming kind of being shut down because of Robert Pattinson's test. We also had The Rock talk about his family, him and his family testing positive for COVID. And then, of course, just today, we heard about Michael Rooker from Guardians and Suicide Squad. So, I mean, it's still kind of, it's a reminder that, if last week was just a reminder about how mortal we all are, and how sort of, it's important to think about how fleeting life is, and how, this comic thing is something that we all consider to be important, but there are bigger, more important things in the world. These tests and the probably subsequent measures that will be taken for safety will, sort of continue to remind us that we have to kind of balance those things. I know that's sort of a sadder note to get started on, but I figured we may as well kind of get it out the way because it's it's real world stuff, and then we kind of transition into the escapism, so to speak. Speaking of escapism, I know, like you said, you're more of a DC person.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of the Amazon show The Boys?
I have not watched it at all.
At all? Not even.
At all. I've never seen any of the episodes. I think, like, now that obviously we have all this time, I should probably.
Yeah, you definitely should. I mean, they just
Yeah.
started the. I was going to say they started the second season this weekend. It dropped. It's doing a different thing than what it did before. Before it dropped the whole season all at once, all 8 episodes. This time around, they're dropping 3 episodes, and then they're going weekly for the rest of the season. I think
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's 8 or 10 episodes in the second season. So between the holiday tomorrow and whatever happens, and as far as your time off, you should probably be able to get a big chunk of the first season down. One thing that as a DC fan I think is kind of cool about The Boys is that to the extent that they're superheroes. I mean, the premise. Like, am I?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I know the basic premise. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, to the extent that there are superheroes being satirized would probably be the best way of of characterizing it. They generally are Justice League analogs. So I'm sure it'll be easy for you to see the parallels being drawn between some of your favorites and the shenanigans that ensue. I really love the first season. I just was really busy this weekend. Hopefully I'll be able to knock out those 3 episodes tomorrow for my with the Labor Day holiday, and then I'll who knows, if the listeners want to talk a little bit about The Boys, I'll surely give a little space for kind of week to week reactions. But we're not going to do it this week because I don't want to spoil it. But that was another sort of pop culture tangentially related to superhero stuff that happened this weekend. Another thing that happened over the past week was the announcement of the Silk. This is going to be a television series. We haven't figured out exactly where it's going to air. It may air on Amazon, but it may air somewhere else. But Sony's producing a series based around Cindy Moon, aka Silk. Are you very familiar with the character?
No, not super familiar. I'm kind of familiar, especially now. Like, because of this podcast, I now have Marvel Unlimited.
Oh, great!
So I started reading some more stuff. So I started getting more familiar, especially with the characters that have been drafted, like Cindy. I just know very, very little though. That's it. Yeah, I know like she was bitten by the same spider that bit Peter Parker, and like she was raised, I think, like underground or something like that.
Like a bunker.
Yeah, like a bunker.
Yeah, and that's, to me, that's one of the more interesting things about the character, that even though Peter gets knocked for being a bit of a man-child, but Cindy is like an extra level of stunted development, because she's been in a bunker, not exposed to the outside world since she was in high school, and she comes out as a young adult, but she's experiencing all these things for the first time. She's experiencing society. She's experiencing, trying to reconnect with her family. And I think that there's a lot of room, particularly if they cast correctly, to make an impact in terms of people's perception of the character. I mean, I know that the original Silk solo book, the sales weren't great, so it ended. And I know that they're planning to relaunch a Silk book sometime in the later part of the year. I think maybe November or December. So it's going to be interesting to see what direction they take the character. As of late, she's been part of that Agents of Atlas team that's based out of Asia. Yeah. But I'd like to see her maybe interact a little more with the Spider family and that kind of world. But I think it's an opportunity for Sony. I don't know yet. If we really think about it, none of the major companies have truly gotten the integration between movies and TV seamless yet. I mean, not counting the comics, I think Star Wars has probably been the best at integrating things that happen on television with things that happen in the movies. Marvel has sort of dipped their toe into it with the old Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, and then kind of Easter eggs But it's going to be interesting to see whether Sony goes for it and really tries to make it feel like it's one unified world, or if they, the other thing that Sony likes to do is play hard and fast about whether they're in the MCU. So who knows if they'll go that route. So I'm going to be curious about how the combination of what they do with the casting, and also where they're trying to how they're trying to integrate it with the rest of, be it the MCU or the Sony. I think I call it the UCM. It's the universe. UMC, the universe of Marvel characters. It's like the MCU if you're a little bit dyslexic. But yeah, I mean that was another big story. I think there was one more. There was a Ms. Marvel story that I don't think has been confirmed yet, and the directors of Bad Boys for Life have been linked with the show. I don't remember their name. Let me look that up right now. But supposedly they're going to be directing a couple episodes of Ms. Marvel. Their names are Bilal Fallah and Adil El Arbi. So, I really did. Did you see Bad Boys for Life?
No.
Oh,
no, I did not.
Yeah, I mean I wouldn't have expected this to be. I know they've mentioned that they wanted to do things with the Marvel cinematic universe, and given the kind of action heavy, I think it was even R-rated Bad Boys for Life was, in terms of so it wouldn't have been my first choice in terms of what type of movie we would have seen. But it's definitely smart of Marvel to work with them because of their success. I mean, as it stands, I think that movie is the highest grossing movie of 2020, and I don't know if anything is gonna top it. I mean, we'll see. Speaking, I guess we're transitioning from box office. The Tenet finally came out in New York. I'm sorry, in the United States. Did not come out notably in New York, but yeah, I mean, Tenet, I believe, is already up to about 150 million worldwide.
I heard like something around there. Yeah.
But it was still only 20 million in the States. So I just read something earlier that said that generally Labor Day is not a big movie going weekend. So even if they finish in the 20 to 30 range, it'll put them in the top 10 of Labor Day opening weekends, which is crazy to me because we're still in the pandemic and people are risking it to see this movie, which I can't lie. If it was open in New York, I might be risking it. I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan, so I understand the temptation. I've been doing as much as I can to avoid all spoilers, and it's going to even get harder because of all the places that it is playing now in the States. What about you? Are you a Christopher Nolan fan?
I'm a fan of some of the stuff. Yeah. I mean, I'd probably go watch it if any theater near my home was open. None of them are open.
Right. So you're in another one of those situations like I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in California, like Southern California.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that annoys my dad because he likes going to the movie theater. Yes. But we can't go. Well, there's nothing we can do.
I mean, I toyed with the idea because they've opened up theaters in New Jersey, and I could theoretically get to a movie theater in New Jersey, but because I don't drive, I would have to take mass transit in order to get there, which means even more potential exposure to COVID in order to go somewhere where I could be potentially exposed to COVID. And I feel like that's probably not prudent.
To go watch a movie, no matter how amazing the movie may be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But fingers crossed that things will change and there'll be a theater. There'll be either a theater open in my area, or I'll find a friend that wants to go to a drive-in, and we'll watch it there.
But, yeah, that surprised me if there actually are still drive-ins. Like I've never seen a drive-in movie theater.
I mean,
that surprised me.
Yeah, the last drive-in I had been to had to be almost 30 years ago. It was in the 90s, you know.
And I was born in the 90s.
Well, that's me showing my age, I guess. In maybe not in your lifetime. But yeah, so I mean that I'm trying. Like I said, I don't think there were a ton of major comic and sort of nerd news stories. You know, there's obviously a lot in the entertainment world in general, just figuring out what's happening, both with Tenet coming to theaters and Mulan going to video on demand. I know those of us who want to see Black Widow, we're hoping that Mulan does well enough so that they can give us a release date for Black Widow in the same format. You know, that's, I think, you know, we haven't gotten any new trailers for Black Widow. We're just kind of chomping at the bit, waiting to figure out a drop date for that. I guess it's good enough reason to, you know, to sort of transition to the next phase of what we've been kind of going at with the Racial Draft podcast. I teased it last week, the versus battles. For those of you who have not been following us on social media, I'll give you a quick rundown on how the versus battle works. Basically, one of the captains is empowered on behalf of any person, any character that the captain has drafted, to call out a character from another delegation. Call them out and see whether they want to accept the challenge. And if that challenge is accepted, then that call out captain gets to explain why they think their character would win, sort of lay out a scenario, a battle scenario, you know, give an impetus for their battle, and again explain how they would win. And once they've done that, the challenged party has 24 hours to mount a rebuttal, and then we leave it up to the people. We leave it up to the people to decide who won the battle. Right now, there happens to be one of the captains who has been challenged, whose character was challenged. Why don't you take it away for us, Martine?
Yeah. So the first versus battle is between the Native American Ghost Rider and Latinx John Constantine, and I noted that he was our last pick, but he's the first one to get called out.
Yeah.
Which was perfect, which was fine. As I wasn't expecting like to get called out, especially like this early.
Mm-hmm.
But it was pretty good that we were called out by the Native American team specifically to go up against Ghost Rider.
Right.
Because I know Ghost Rider. I know that one. So I was like, oh, good, but also shit. So I knew like, oh, he's gonna be tough to kill, especially like in an impromptu thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when they, after the Native American team laid out their reason for why Ghost Rider would probably win, I was the one who had to come up with
the rebuttal.
With the rebuttal. So, and I knew that I had to think a little outside the box. So I had to go with another way to take out the Ghost Rider, which is to separate the spirit of vengeance from the human host, which is a possible thing. It's basically like an exorcism.
Mm-hmm.
And so our demigod trickster has to basically outsmart and out maneuver long enough just to be able to like exercise the spirit, which I think is very possible, especially because like of all the things that John has been, that like non-Latinx John has been able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it seemed very likely that Latinx Juan would probably be able to do the same things,
right?
If maybe not a little bit better, because like when John had like I think it was like demon blood or something in him,
Mm-hmm.
He was theorized to be like one of the more powerful like magical like users because of that supernatural blood going through him. So it stands to reason that if the blood flowing through his veins is now that of a demigod, like as a god,
Right.
he should be equally as powerful, if not maybe even more powerful.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was definitely fun trying to come up with this type of situation.
I know for me, one of the
And
first things that came to mind
yeah,
was the idea that, you know, unless he could mount a physical assault, John was uniquely positioned to separate him from his demon. And
yeah,
I sort of questioned, I questioned the strategy of a demon taking on a demon hunter or
yeah,
a master exerciser.
yeah,
In sort of my initial scouting of the situation, I thought to myself, well, maybe he's purposely trying to just get separated from just trying to get separated from his host, and he's backing his way into a victory, for the victory for the human, and then the
yeah,
loss for the rider.
yeah. I mean, like, he didn't ask to be with the spirit, so it's just like maybe that was his plan in the first place.
Exactly.
Like,
This is plan all
get rid of this thing.
get
You
right.
do it. Come on. Like, technically, this is a loophole. The
It was an
deceiver can't be too
impromptu.
mad at me.
It was an impromptu team up. Yeah,
Yeah, his
But
soul has been saved.
exactly. But so as of now, there are. Let's see how. I think I can see how much time is left. There's 1 day left, guys. So if you're listening to the show, it's probably a little bit less than 1 day left. But right now, you have a healthy lead. You're at 69.2% in the
Yeah.
poll.
Hmm.
I feel like most of the people agree with us that there wouldn't be much of a contest.
Yeah.
But if you feel, whether you agree or you disagree, cast your vote, make it even more of a landslide, or bring it in a little closer if you think that Ghost Rider has something for Constantine. Like I said, the approach that I probably would have gone for if I were Ghost Rider is I would have just ambushed him and
Yeah.
tried to physically beat him up so that he didn't have an opportunity to cast any spells.
Well, I don't know if he could ambush him because he has like he kind of uses magic to sense other magic and other supernatural around him. So, I mean, I know Ghost Rider's like super super fast.
Yeah.
So that's the only way if he can outride John like Juan's like supernatural sense basically. So which one's faster? But that's the only way I could see like an ambush happening. Uh, so it was very interesting.
I didn't even know about his supernatural sense. Yeah, that would.
Yeah, because like he uses like magic to sense that kind of stuff. So like as a demigod, especially now, he'd be able to sense that kind of stuff as well. So that's why I was just like, okay, I gotta come up with something because yeah, physically, no contest. Like if it was just mano a mano, like he's getting his ass kicked.
Right.
So he's got to be like wily about it.
Right.
He's got to be smart about it, which is what he is. He's brains over brawn. I kind of like that in most people.
Yeah, I agree.
Most characters.
So we have another challenge that is we have another one that's underway, but there has not yet been a rebuttal. So yeah. It's a little one-sided right now. But I'm eager to see what happens in the rebuttal. We're still in the 24-hour response period, but that one, did you catch wind of that challenge?
Yep. White Forge versus multiracial Mystique.
That's right. And I gotta say, as soon as I heard that, I thought, I mean, Forge doesn't have anything for Mystique. Like, yeah. He really needs to bring his A game if he can hope to take down Mystique.
Yeah.
I suppose I will read Sean's approach to potentially defeating Mystique. Like I said, there will be a rebuttal at some point, and then we'll put the poll up and we'll see what the people think. I think, like I said, most of the people's gut response was, oh, so Forge just wants to die.
Yeah.
But
It seems like the very first two picks, most people already have like a favorite because that's what they said for Forge. And then I remember one of the things for Ghost Rider versus Constantine is like, so suicide for the Ghost Rider, weird flex or something like that.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, sometimes a versus battle, there's a favorite and there's an underdog for a reason. And,
Yeah.
there's there's a degree of difficulty aspect in, wanting to kind of like the thing about like you show up at jail and you find the biggest, toughest person and you're like, yeah, I'm going to make my mark by taking out one of the deadliest characters in comics with my mind. But so this was Sean's conception of why Forge will win. The why. Jonathan grew up hating others so much, only to discover he himself was the very thing he despised, a mutant. He would at the time of his discovery be helped by Maya Monroe, Polynesian Storm, which helped to steer him away from anger towards a path of acceptance of others. But Forge quickly put so much on that relationship with her. He would never actually come to terms with his hatred directed inwards. Fresh off of a rejected proposal from Storm, Forge's hatred of himself and all the things about himself that he grew up hating is at an all-time high. His anger and his pain made him unable to come to terms with it, and he lashes outwards at someone who encompasses what he considers the worst part of himself, being a mutant. Raven Darkholme, the shapeshifter Mystique. The how. Forge's ability to communicate with technology is his greatest asset. Rather than neutralize Mystique's mutant ability, he plans for it. Forge has created an adaptoid that will draw from Mystique every time she morphs. Starting at only a mimic base ability, the adaptoid gets stronger the more Mystique morphs. His power comes at her expense. The Where, a crowded mall where Mystique's natural instinct will be to morph and try to blend in. Forge is not particularly concerned about casualties these days. It is if it's in the name of the greater good. So, I mean, it sounds interesting. I mean, I would, as a proponent of fair play,
yeah.
Do you think it's a little weird that his way to defeat Mystique is to bring in somebody else to defeat Mystique? That's a weird. I'm gonna build myself a Mystique Buster. Okay. All right.
I mean,
I feel like if he had built armor,
yeah.
I mean, I know that's more of a Tony Stark thing, but if he had built like armor that did the same thing, that would be more him beating Mystique than, let me get my friend, my robot friend.
Yeah.
But and then there's still the question of how exactly are you going to take Mystique out? She's still even without power, she's pretty dead. Yeah. Even without shapeshifting, she could mess up a lot of people. So I'm not sure he's thought about that aspect either.
It doesn't sound like it.
So no. I mean, there are definitely some holes that can be exploited in the rebuttal. So I'm very curious as to whether Kia has done her research on Mystique and knows what to do in order to take Forge out. But I'm liking this versus battle. I'm liking the concept. Hoping that we'll get some more in the coming weeks. I want it's nice to have a little trash talk, right?
Yeah.
I mean, since you're fun. Here,
yeah.
Do you have anyone that you'd like to call out?
Oh, I've been thinking about that. There's a couple fun, obvious ones that I could easily go with, like Namor versus Aquaman or something. Beta Ray Bill versus Thor.
Yeah.
Valkyrie versus Valkyrie.
Well, I think it was a couple weeks ago you talked about the possible tag team, the tag team battle. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, that was something that came up. I don't know right now. I mean, like, what's the limit for how many people can be in a battle? Like just one-on-one, or is it like one team versus one team?
Yeah, it would have to be one team versus one team. But
okay.
You can do a tag team.
We couldn't do like a battle of the lanterns or anything.
we would need to talk about it ahead of time.
Yeah.
How it would work. Because like I said, there's a challenger and the person that gets challenged.
Getting the challenge. Yeah.
Right. So
I don't know. I think I'll have to talk about this a little bit more in depth with like S, because we started to talk about it, but that was before we got called out. So our focus was mainly on this one challenge, and I guess we'll focus on the other one a little later.
All right.
For now, anyway.
I mean, since I'm not involved, I can play fantasy matchmaker. So I'm gonna look at some of these characters and see who I'd like to see. I mean, and you know, I'm gonna keep you guys out of it. I'm gonna not pick anyone from Latinx team. I'm just going that way. You can give me what you think, how you think it would go down.
Okay. So there's no bias.
Exactly. So that there's no bias.
Yeah.
Let's think about, since we were talking about the Polynesian team, America Chavez and Supergirl. America Chavez, Polynesian America Chavez. I can't remember what Tamati renamed her as. And Kara Zor-El from the Jewish team. I don't quite know. I mean, what the impetus for fighting would be. I mean, maybe America just punches her way into the DC universe and ends
classic misunderstanding.
Your classic heroic misunderstanding. You know, she just breaches the universe. Supergirl thinks that she's an invader, and you know, as they are wont to do, they start punching before they start talking, and then boom, there we go.
Yeah.
Your classic misunderstanding. So that would be one that I'd like to see play out. Another one, which I guess, you know, still in the same realm of I forgot these guys are both in this one would be an interesting tag team battle, I think. No, sorry, scratch it.
Okay.
Winter Soldier.
All right.
Red Hood. Two former sidekicks
that were thought dead and then came back to life.
Much more badass.
Yeah.
You know, so that'd be the Asian Winter Soldier and the Black Jason Todd. I'd be curious to see how that went down.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Let me think. Joker. Black Joker.
Yeah.
Native American Punisher.
That's interesting.
Especially, I'm imagining it more as the Joker going after the Punisher, not the Punisher going after the Joker.
Yeah, because I think if it was the Punisher going after the Joker, it's done. I think probably.
The Joker's pretty wily, you know.
I know he's pretty wily, but like I think if it was Punisher hunting Joker down, I don't think he'd go up close with it, because you know guns have range.
No, that's a very good point. I mean, what you would want ideally is Joker trying to do the psychological torture.
Yeah.
Like, have you been reading Joker War?
I've been reading some. Like, that's how I know like what happened with Joker between him and the other one, you know, Red Hood. Like I know I've started reading it.
Okay.
So I need to catch up. I think there was like another issue, right, that came out?
Yeah, this last week there was another Joker War issue.
Yeah, I didn't read that one.
And I've seen previews for the upcoming issue. You know, apologies in advance for spoilers, but the Joker's been doing some mind games that involve the recently amnesiac Dick Grayson and
Rick Grayson.
Right, Rick Grayson, exactly. and you know, Joker's been taking advantage of that situation.
As he would.
Of course he would, because he likes messing with Batman, and that's a great way to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and I could see the Joker, you know, do, you know, he is also a practitioner of prep time, you know, so I could see him doing a little bit of background research on Frank Castle and trying to drive him crazy with people from his past who perhaps he might feel guilty about, and then try to drive him mad before, you know, ultimately I see what I think Joker would be trying to do with the Punisher is not try to kill him, but try to get him to embrace the Joker's ethos.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing we know, I mean, are you familiar with a character named Cosmic Ghost Rider?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I'm kind of familiar with the Cosmic Ghost Rider because that was
So Cosmic Ghost Rider is Frank Castle,
yeah,
who's gone through some stuff. So we know that he has that
capacity.
He has that inside of him. He has that ability to kind of lose all fucks and potentially, you know, get Jokerized. So I think that would be an interesting psychological mind game that the Joker could play.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Any ones that sort of spring to mind that you'd like to see from some different delegations?
Well, when the question came up on Twitter, I posted the possibility of like Bane versus Daredevil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you imagine Bane targeting Daredevil or Daredevil targeting Bane?
Bane targeting Daredevil.
Okay, so kind of like a Nightfall thing.
Very much so. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, just replace the bat with the devil. You know.
But he's now going to try to. Is he good? Because there's been a couple times that Bane has sort of taken out Batman. Is he trying to take him out for the just the reputational benefit of it, or is he trying to sort of take his place as the power in Hell's Kitchen? Because, you know, doing that might put him in the crosshairs of Wilson Fisk.
Yeah, Kingpin. Yeah, and I think it's way more of like the reputation of it all. You know? Yeah. Because that's pretty much like the reason he went after the bat in the first place, because of how terrifying he heard Batman was while he was in prison. Well, Bane was in prison, not Batman.
Right. I can almost see a situation where Bane targets both Daredevil and the Kingpin.
Yeah.
Sort definitely. of sees them as two halves of the whole. So he wants to both take out the Kingpin in a way that Matt Murdock could never do, en route to then breaking Murdock physically and spiritually, and definitely showing that he's, you know, whatever the devil Hell's Kitchen is, Bane is even more devilish. So I could see that.
Let's see if I can come up with any right now off the top of my head. I was gonna say one, but then I remembered they were on the same team, so I don't think it's gonna work out. But kind of a similar thing with like how we have this versus battle between white versus multiracial. Why not like Jon Stewart versus maybe like someone else from the multiracial scene, like maybe like a Captain Marvel or something?
Okay, because Hal Jordan's right sitting there.
Yeah, because Hal Jordan's in multiracial. Yeah, because I think it could be very interesting. You know, if he still has like his military marine background, add in the whole Green Lantern power aspect. I think it could be fun to see. And maybe that's just me being a fan of, you know, Green Lanterns, just hyping them up.
Right.
Unless it's Hal Jordan. If it's Hal Jordan versus anybody on like our side, I will talk shit about Hal Jordan all day.
Oh, you're another one of the anti-Hal Jordan.
No. I'm saying like in this like versus battle, if it's Hal Jordan versus like probably any other team's persons, I'd probably be like, you know what, Hal's maybe have a chance. If it's any of ours, especially like certain cosmic-y characters, like Superman or Kyle or anyone like that, it'd be like, nah, fuck Hal Jordan. He ain't got shit on us.
Now I've thought of, since you're for the purpose of this conversation, you're gonna be my Green Lantern expert.
Got it.
Can the ring create kryptonite?
It actually can't. There has been examples where Green Lanterns have been able to use the ring to kind of simulate kryptonite and its radiation. Like, so it can actually create like kryptonite to weaken Superman or Supergirl, like just because of the purpose of this versus battle. So it can actually do that. It has been known to do that.
Gotcha. But he has to be able to hold it.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah, because as a kid, even, you know, you're thinking to yourself, well, kryptonite's green. Green Lantern's got the ability to make anything green. Like, that seems
useful.
Seems like you're built in.
Yeah.
build a mech suit, make it kryptonite, and you're good to go. You're taking Superman out.
Yeah, but Hal wouldn't do a mech suit. He'd do a glove or a hand.
Yeah,
He's
right.
not that creative.
Yeah.
It'd have to be Kyle to make a mech suit, and Kyle's not going to go up against Superman.
Well, John would make a mech suit. It'd be
John
more
could.
like a tank. It'd be more like a tank.
It'd be more structurally sound.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's an architect.
Right. It'd be the kind of mech suits that we see, you know, like the kind of mech suits that we see in real life. Whereas I would make like a Jaeger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a weeb. He's gonna make some like anime type shit.
Exactly. Yes. His mech is gonna look like something out of anime.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
He's a manga nut with a power ring.
Right. What would Hal's version of a mech? Would it be like a suit of armor? Like a medieval suit of armor?
For Hal, it would have to be, I think if because you know he does like he's more like planes and stuff. I don't think he's gonna make like a transformer or anything.
No, he doesn't. He's gonna make what a transformer is.
No matter how many times Kyle's pestered him, like, no, man, you gotta watch. It's like I don't want to.
It's like, no. I mean, I just like the jets. I don't think I need to transform the jet into a guy.
Yeah, I don't need to make a robot. I can just make a hand to do the exact same thing if I need to punch somebody. Like, no, but you gotta think creative. Shut up, Kyle. I know what I've been doing this far longer than you have. Makes a little green glove, slaps him.
Exactly. Right. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is Hal kind of in a nutshell. That's kind of why I want to see whether it's in the movies or like was there a Green Lantern cartoon?
There was Green Lantern, the animated series. It ran for one season, which is bullshit.
Was it just Hal or was it the whole Corps?
It was Hal was the focus. Obviously, there were other lanterns there. Like Guy eventually showed up, which is kind of funny because they kind of started treating Guy as better than Hal, and Hal was confused about that because he was away from Earth for like a while, and he comes back and then here's Guy, and everyone's like, "Oh, hi, Guy." Oh, okay. Like move around like Hal, like so that was, but it only got one season, which is
that's a big letdown.
That is a bit let down. I think it had to do with at the Green Lantern movie came out at around the same time.
Gotcha.
So like what kind of usually happens with animated series, if toys don't sell well, they probably won't keep making it. And unfortunately, the movie kind of they
probably wanted to gear the toys towards the movie.
Yeah, and then that probably didn't really all sell all that well. So we only got one season. But the entire thing's on DC Universe if anyone wants to watch that entire thing.
Oh, okay. I might check it out. While DC Universe is still a thing. You know, I know that they're working on something that's for HBO Max. That's
the Green Lantern. Yeah. There's been so many rumors about that, about who it was supposed to be about. Originally, it was the original rumor before it was even announced was that they were making a show and it was going to be about Kyle, which would have been awesome.
Awesome, right.
But then it turned into we're going to make a show. We're not announcing who it's going to be about, but it's going to be about these two human Green Lanterns. I was like, okay. Then it was then they announced it's going to be it's going to focus on two different time periods and stuff like that. Right. So I would think it'd be two Green Lanterns are at least a couple years apart.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I remember that last rumor. To me, if they're going to do that, and if they're going to talk about different time periods, then it would make sense to be sort of Hal's early days, juxtaposed with either Jessica Cruz or Kyle in their early days.
Yeah, like Hal in his early days, and then we see like Parallax Hal with Kyle.
You see that? I was
to see like how did the once greatest Green Lantern fall?
Right.
You know.
Or I was even thinking about how it could be a mystery.
Oh yeah.
So you have it's almost like almost like a Star Wars prequel type deal. Where you have Hal. You're telling, like, imagine if they told the prequels and the original trilogy at the same time, right? So like Hal is like Anakin, and Kyle is Luke, right? So so Kyle gets the ring at the time, like after the fall of the Green Lantern Corps. And we don't know how the Green Lantern Corps fell. And then they tell the story of Hal kind of becoming a Green Lantern. And of course, people who know that Hal is the reason that the Green Lantern Corps falls. But Kyle is
in the dark. Yeah.
He's in the dark. He's just trying to like pick up the pieces. And at some point he gets introduced to Hal, who's supposed to be the greatest Green Lantern ever, and it turns out that Hal was the thing that destroyed the Green Lantern. He's basically Darth Vader at that
point. Exactly.
Like I could see that working really well, especially I think Jeff Johns is involved. So Jeff Johns knows Green Lantern lore like the back of his hand. So hopefully that's the direction they go with the Green Lantern thing. But what I was thinking is that just in general, the idea of contrasting when you think about the ring on its face seems pretty simple.
Yeah.
But it's the creativity of the user where, that really kind of brings out that contrast and allows people to have their favorites, because the creativity of the person, like, I'm sure you've, as a Green Lantern fan, thought about the kind of constructs you would create. It would be different from the kind of constructs I would create.
Yeah, definitely.
From a technological perspective, like, I don't know if you're into a lot of like tech gadgets or whatever, but like, imagine a Green Lantern augmented reality game where you have the ring on your phone or whatever, right? That represents your ring, and with the goggles, the augmented reality like goggles, like, you get to create what kind of constructs you would create in the course of the game. It'd either be like a augmented reality or a VR game where you get to create the constructs and fight whoever you need to fight, and just have a wide range of different constructs that you could cycle through and build up your character that way. Like, I feel like that would make for a really fun multiplayer game.
Exactly.
But the Green Lanterns didn't get a lot of love in the racial draft. I mean, obviously Sean slid in there.
With John.
Snatched up John, who's he's doing pretty well in the Justice League book.
Yeah.
But
I'm really just surprised no one else, like, I think it was just purely Sean that was trying to go for John, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, like, what the hell?
I mean, like, but I think it's like I had said before, when the Green Lanterns have managed to, because of just how easy it is to give somebody a Green Lantern ring, they're sort of diverse on their own.
Yeah.
And I think that every group kind of, not every group, but the majority of the groups feel like they have someone that they can call their own from the Green Lantern Corps. So maybe it feels a little bit disrespectful to like your own Green Lantern to draft a different Green Lantern. Like, it made sense that you guys drafted Kyle, because Kyle is Latinx.
Yeah.
If you had drafted John, though, it would have been like, but Kyle's right there.
And then we probably been like, just hold your damn horses. There's no limit. We could draft as many as we want.
And if there was still a Green Lantern Corps book out, that would probably be an opportunity to score more points.
Yeah, but there ain't.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is there's like Far Sector, and then there's like Hal's stuff. That's like basically been the only like solely Green Lantern titles, not like Justice League or like Young Justice or anything like that. No Green Lantern Corps book.
Have you been reading Far Sector?
I have been reading it, so I welcome Joe into the family that is the Green Lantern Corps, this big ass family that is mostly focused on the humans and not the aliens.
Look, as I always say about that,
yeah,
because we live on Earth and because we're human.
I understand why it happens.
It's going to be a bias.
Yeah, there's no like, I'm not arguing against that. I know it's gonna be that way. Yeah. And so that's why it's like one alien can kind of get the spotlight, but not over any other human. It's like they share it, and it's usually Kilowog.
Yeah. It's usually. And the thing is, I don't quite get Kilowog. Mm-hmm. I mean, he seems like a bit of a badass, but
yeah,
is that it? Is that just it? He's just like a badass.
I mean, he is a badass. He's kind of like supposed to be, because he's like one of the trainers for the Green Lanterns. But there's more depth to him, but like there's not a lot of time to really show a lot of that unless it's a core book or anything like that. Okay. But yeah, there's more depth than just Kilowog, which is kind of funny, like because he's got like a bit of a sense of humor as well. There was like I remember one panel where it's like some alien girl is kind of coming on to him, and he's like, "Sorry, I'm on the clock," or some shit like that. Like, okay, so if you didn't have the ring on and you weren't on duty, you'd probably go for it. I get it. Yeah, but like there's more personality than just being a badass, He is one, but there's more to it.
Right. It kind of makes me wonder, like, I mean, and you can fill me in if they've tried this.
Yeah.
Given that Far Sector is basically, it's written by like a serious sci-fi author. Mm-hmm. Like, what if someone kind of did like a Star Trek-ish, like epic, like super, like intergalactic, epic story with the Green Lantern Corps that really kind of got into the complexities of these different alien civilizations and the politics of it, of like what it means to be accepted, be guarded by the Green Lanterns, or potentially not want to be part of, what I mean? Like like, are you a big Star Trek fan?
No, I'm not really a big Star Trek fan. It's kind of funny that you started talking about Green Lanterns and Star Trek, because they have crossed over in comics.
Yeah, I think
I did. That's pretty much the extent of knowledge that I know about Star Trek. It's like stuff that involves when they cross over, like the Green Lantern Corps. I always kind of say, like, the first quote unquote Star Trek show I've ever watched is The Orville. Even though it's not really a Star Trek show.
Well, a lot of people have said that Hal Jordan is basically Captain Kirk.
Correct. Yeah, I've heard that.
But a lot of those sort of the later stage Star Treks, to talk about the complexity of what it is to have a galactic federation.
Kind of like overseeing everyone.
Yeah, that it starts out in a very utopian place, that there are these more advanced civilizations that have accepted the planets into the fold, and then there are these malevolent planets that don't want to play ball. But as you get deeper into the different shows, you see that it's not as simple as it that as simple as it sounds. That there is an element of empire to being the Federation, and that there are these other empires that don't want to cede their sovereignty.
Yeah.
You know, so it's less about good and evil and more about the, you know, complexity of galactic politics. And this is from a perspective of someone that just kind of dabbles in Star Trek as a, which is, I'm sure that someone who's really into Star Trek can build out those parallels even stronger.
That something like that kind of happened a little bit in the Omega Man series.
Okay.
Where there's a kind of like a sector or so like of the galaxy that the Green Lanterns don't really like have any jurisdiction over.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle, while he was a White Lantern, went to go over there, but before he can actually officially enter, he had to like leave his ring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like that's a whole, because that was all dealing with like shades of gray, because not everything is so completely black and white, because there was a war pretty much going on at the time that Kyle kind of got drug into. And that's when he saw like... No, initially he got captured pretty quickly because he didn't have a ring or anything. But eventually he did kind of like get kind of like his ring back, and he was the Omega Lantern. It wasn't like anything special. It was just like a White Lantern with a different like costume, more or less.
Didn't John become an Omega Lantern recently?
No, he became like an Ultraviolet.
Oh, okay, that might have been what it was.
Yeah. I don't think he came an Omega. I know he went Ultraviolet.
Okay.
Which was like apathy, I think, more. No, not apathy. What was it? Regret? I forget. Because I don't think they've shown up in a while.
Yeah, I know. In the most recent, that's where he had the white costume. Recently in the Justice League, like I said, I thought that might have been the Omega Lantern, but maybe you're right. Maybe it was Ultraviolet.
If he had a white costume, maybe it was just a White Lantern. Maybe because it's possible. Because there's
No, he definitely had like a different logo. You know, like it. You know, I'll have to look it up. Maybe I'll look it up now.
Okay.
Yeah, just talk a little bit more about Lantern lore while I look it up.
Okay. Well, if anyone hasn't already read the Omega Man, I definitely would suggest to read it. It's a 12-issue series. The writer, some people don't like, some people do like. It's Tom King.
Oh, I love Tom.
Yeah, Tom King. I really like. I like his stories. I like the Omega Man, Mr. Miracle, like his Batman stuff. I actually kind of like really liked as well. This is also like a thing with me personally between Tom King, because even though he says like his favorite, I think he said his favorite Green Lantern is Hal, he's mostly written Kyle. And I don't know what it is, but he's decided that like he's going to be the one to remind everyone that Kyle's half Mexican.
Okay.
In the 2 times that he's written Kyle, the Omega Man, and that very, very short blip in Heroes in Crisis, he makes sure he has Kyle speaking Spanish at least once.
Right.
Yeah.
I did remember that.
Yeah. So I kind of have to applaud him for that, because like no one seems to remember except for him. But yeah. So, and I mean, obviously there is kind of like one little thing from the Omega Man that some people don't really like that pertains to Kyle. I don't know if I want to talk about it here, but something that he does somewhat out of character. Yeah, so out of character.
Don't spoil it for the people who haven't read it. So it turns out that it was a White Lantern.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, that was just fairly recently in the last couple of years. John dabbled in the White Lantern world, which again, now that he's part of the White Delegation, I'm sure
it whitewashed him. The ring whitewashed him.
Exactly. He is now fully ensconced in the White Lantern, using the power of privilege. You know? My privilege is strong. I can build all types of constructs, social constructs. The military-industrial complex. The prison industrial. Oh man! Oh, the brutality, the brutality of the White Lanterns are legendary.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought we would have some more guests, some more captains to chime in, but I guess they missed out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess this is a good enough time to start talking about what happened this week in the Fantasy Comics League.
All right.
Well, I'm going to do what I did last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to now. This is a very important disclaimer.
Yes.
These scores are preliminary scores. They
Mm-hmm.
have not yet been ratified by the Fantasy Comics League. So it's especially this week. Last week we had partial ratification, so the scores didn't change that much. I need to actually publish what the final scores were. There were a couple points here and there that shifted, but nothing major. This week, not even partially, they have not been even partially ratified. So expect major fluctuations, but I still feel relatively comfortable giving these scores. But like I said, expect some fluctuations as the scoring gets ratified. That said,
all right,
I will give you the week 6 preliminary scoring. With 1 point this week, the Black Delegation.
Okay, so they're back on brand now.
Oh, wow. Shots fired.
I mean, I'm just stating facts here. Okay.
I mean, it is definitely a drop from 53 points to 1 point. I can agree.
Yeah, sorry to all of them. I'm just being truthful.
Just stating, yeah, I understand. With 5 points, the Polynesian Delegation.
Okay.
They led by Blue Marvel, Scarlet Witch, with 3 and 2 points, respectively. Next up, with 11 points, the Jewish Delegation.
Okay.
11 points, led by She-Hulk.
Okay.
8 points. Although, like I said, there may be some fluctuations. With 13 points, the Native American Delegation.
Okay. All right, then.
The return of Hawkeye. I don't know if you... Hawkeye has popped in the Black Widow comic that it started out this week. I think he's going to be part of that regular cast, so he's putting up some points.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Also, Spider-Man, who I gotta admit, I mean, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan.
Yeah,
I've been disappointed at the number. Like I thought he'd be a shoo-in for like top 10 scorers. He shows up consistently, but he's not racking up points like some of the big guns have been doing.
He's there, but he don't do anything.
Yeah, he swings around, little whip, little what's his name? Little comment, little funny comment, and it doesn't
Quip?
No points for the quips. No
yeah,
quip. It's just whip, little quip, and then he's done. So a little disappointed, but he's got a milestone issue coming up, so maybe he'll get some big points in the coming weeks. But I'm sure that when he was drafted with the 2nd overall pick, that the Native American Delegation wanted a little bit more out of him.
Yeah.
Next, with 33 points, the Asian Delegation.
The Asian Delegation.
33 points this week, led by Batman and his 13 points. He scored 37 points last week.
Yeah.
So by himself last week, he outscored them this week. It's truly a Batman-centric situation, like most of DC Comics.
Yeah, definitely. Because he's like in every book.
Surprisingly, They also got 10 points out of Johnny Storm. I think a lot of that has to do with the Empire event that was very Fantastic Four focused, and then they had their finale, their event finale this week. So he got a double dip of Fantastic Four book and Avengers book, and Empire book rather. So, but overall, I mean, this is a little bit of a down week for the Asian delegation as one of the Titans.
Because that's 4th place, right? This week.
I mean, no, not 4th place. Next up, with 44 points, the White Delegation.
The White Delegation.
The White Delegation, led by the Flash and Reed Richards. They got a strong contribution from Jon Stewart. Strong contribution from Wiccan. They had a bunch of people show up this week to the two.
So their 2 biggest scorers were the guys that were already white.
Yes. No. Yeah. 3, right? Because Wiccan's also white. So.
Oh well, yeah. Well, you said they were led by. Yeah.
The 2 biggest scorers were already white. So it's like, sometimes it's about preserving. Sometimes it's about preserving your position.
Yeah.
Hegemony.
I get it.
When you're the white team, it's just about playing defense.
I mean, yeah, when like most of the characters are already white to begin with, and they're the ones that are going to be showing up everywhere, especially if your initials are B and W. Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. It's a good thing he didn't fall to the white team.
No, it's definitely a good thing.
Next one will surprise you. With 68 points in total, the multiracial delegation.
Hold up. So that means, I think that means what I think it means, right?
I think it means what you think it means.
Oh man, I really wanted Kia to be here.
Before we say, let me break down the top scorers for the multiracial delegation. They were led by, this week, Cable.
Really?
Got them 15 points this week. And second place, Black Widow. Their newly minted 13th round pick with the brand new solo book that came out this week, Black Widow #1.
Really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, their MVP has been a little bit less MVP-like this week.
In the latter half.
Only gave them 10 points. And that's not going to cut it, not going to make up for the fact that characters like Deadpool and Hal Jordan have been a little bit disappointing. And they finished up with 68, good enough for second place.
Yeah.
But like you said, you know what that means?
Yeah.
You know what that means? With a grand total of 102 points.
Holy fucking shit, dude.
Latinx team. Now, this is the important thing. Who was your top scorer this week?
I'm gonna assume it's not Superman. Was it Superman?
It's not Superman. Your top.
Constantine?
Here's what I'm gonna give you a hint.
Okay.
This is gonna be a big hint.
Okay.
Not based on the draft. You would have thought this person would be a high scorer, but based on what's happened in the season so far, it's surprising.
Based on the draft, you think be a high scorer? Shazam?
Yep. Shazam.
What's the magic word?
27 points for Shazam this week. Finally showed up in the last issue of his book.
Now he's a kid, so he's late. So
maybe. He gave you I guess over over 6 weeks.
Uh-huh.
He gave you solid for if you take this 27 and spread it over the 6 weeks, he's all right. But yeah, he killed it for you this week. Your second scorer, Wolverine. Welcome to the party, Logan.
So a little kid and a short guy.
Yeah. Third scorer, Black Panther.
Nice.
Which brings us to our continuing discussion.
No. Especially after this week. No.
Wakanda Gate continues. People. Make it known that it's important. It is important to our people that Black Panther be returned to where he belongs.
All right.
Hashtag Wakanda Gate. Hashtag Wakanda Gate.
We'll keep that in mind.
But yeah, so with a first place finish, how does it feel?
I really wish Kia was here.
I know. It's like
but
Kia knew.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe she started keeping track of her own and just like, no, not today. I can't gloat today. I won't do it. Because how many points did she get?
68. 68 points.
68, and we got 102.
Yeah.
But
wait, do you have a little bit more gloating to do?
I mean, that's almost twice. Almost. Kind of. It's like, man, that's surprising to me. We usually end up getting like third place or something.
Yeah, you're
consistently.
You're usually in the battle for second place. Usually.
Yeah, you thought about it for third place, and now this time, last week it was the Asian team that won, right? Mm-hmm. And then this time it was the Latinx team that won. So maybe these latter half that battle is gonna be a lot more interesting. Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, there are only 2 weeks left, though.
Yeah.
2 weeks left, and like I said, subject to adjustment, subject to point adjustment.
Exactly. Yes, I'll keep that in mind.
So here are the cumulative totals.
Okay.
So far.
All right.
With 61 total points.
Mm-hmm.
The Polynesian delegation.
Mm-hmm.
With 81 total points.
Uh-huh.
The Native American delegation.
Okay.
With 85 total points.
That's really close.
The Jewish delegation. With 89 total points.
Oh, wow.
The Black delegation.
And those three are really close to each other.
Yep. With 213 total points. The white delegation.
All right.
With 308 total points.
Mm-hmm.
The Asian delegation. With 339 total points. The Latinx delegation.
All right, we moved to silver.
And of course,
the other one.
With 508 points.
Yeah.
508 points.
Yeah.
Is the multiracial delegation. Still with a healthy lead.
Yeah. We're not going to be, I don't think we're going to be able to catch up unless we somehow pull up more than 100 in these last 2 weeks again. And her team doesn't really come to play. That's the only way.
Yeah. You're going to have to make up a 170 point deficit in 2 weeks. She's going to have Black delegation like
numbers. Yeah.
Numbers. But I'm sure she's seething right now. whenever she's listening to the show. But
yeah,
but look, 68 is nothing to sneeze at. A lot
yeah.
of teams have never scored 68 points.
And some haven't at all, like at all for the entire thing, right? Who's in dead last?
Yeah. Polynesian, 61 total.
Yeah,
Oof.
yeah.
I didn't see that last place. I didn't see that last place thing coming.
No, I didn't. I legitimately thought it was going to be the black team.
I mean,
For like a while, it was.
Jason Todd.
Jason Todd really helped their numbers.
Yep. But look, anything can happen. It's only, I mean, it's like 30 points. 30 points separate the bottom four teams.
Yeah.
You know, it's a battle. It's a battle in that cellar, and then you know, the white delegation sort of stands alone in fourth place.
Mm-hmm.
Can they catch up? Can they make their way into the top three, the medals?
I hope not.
And it's you. It feels like you and the Asian delegation fighting it out for second place.
Yeah. Like I said last week, at least we're gonna medal. That's at least the thing. Yeah. And it's just a matter of if we're gonna pull off silver or we're gonna end up with bronze.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was a fun week of comics. I've only been sort of scanning what's due to come out now that the big Marvel event is done. I think Death Metal's still kind of going on.
Death Metal is still coming on. Yeah. And that was so, like, when those covers came out, the first thing I noticed was Guy Gardner being used in something. Because it's like, oh, good for you. You got taken off the bench.
Nice. Right.
Because I actually like Guy Gardner. I know, like, a lot of people don't.
I feel I like him as like a character I love to hate.
Yeah, I think like some people are like, yeah, that's kind of like the situation. You love to hate him, so that's why you like the character, but like you think he's kind of a dick.
Exactly.
Or a douche, yeah.
Yeah.
He's an asshole with a heart of gold, though.
That's true.
That's the thing.
Yeah. I like him. I like him on ensembles as a shit stirrer. You know, mm-hmm. I don't see myself reading a Guy Gardner solo book.
Solo. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people probably would either. Yeah, just because he does have that image of just being the asshole.
Yeah.
Like some people.
I'm very curious to see, you know, since we were talking earlier about like live action Green Lantern show, like who would be a really, you know, who'd be the ideal Guy Gardner casting to like get that right.
Yeah. Someone who can play. He's someone that you kind of want to root for, but at the same time, you want to see get punched in the face.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Batman did that one time.
Yeah, I feel like there are actors who nail that, but I can't think of any offhand.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, people like, obviously he hasn't been racially drafted, which means that he's wide open for any delegation to potentially get Guy Gardner and get a fan casting in there for Guy Gardner. That'd be great for season 2. Season 2 is coming soon.
All right.
Probably about 1.5 away, we'll say, for season 2. You know, but we're gonna do some more versus battles. We're gonna have some more FCL. We're gonna have some special episodes in the coming weeks and months. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I can only speak for myself in terms of how the draft and the subsequent season has gone so far, but I feel like it's been going well. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's been going really well. Yeah. Man, to think I started this as a fan, and then now I get to see how it actually goes down, and yeah, it's gone really well. It's been so fun, and then the points, the shit talking, and now with this whole new like versus battle stuff, this is really good. This is really good, I think.
I agree. But on that note, I guess we should bring the show to a close. It's a little late on my side of things, East Coast. But thank you for joining me this week. It would be really weird for me to just talk into the void. I'm definitely here for the listeners, but it's not the same when you have somebody to talk back to.
Yeah.
But, you know, as again, Martin, let the people know where they can find you on social media or elsewhere.
Yeah, so I'm Martin Sanchez on Twitter, so it's MARSANJ47, at Marsanjay47 on Twitter. Um, and then I do have an Instagram, but I don't really use that one all that much.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna plug that one. So yeah, if you're gonna find me, Twitter will probably be the best place.
Okay. Yeah, and you can find us at Racial Draft Pod on Twitter, racial.draft on Instagram, and the Racial Draft page on Facebook. You can hit me up at MTFIII on Twitter and Instagram, but you know, I like to keep my Instagram a little chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love feedback. We would like to know maybe what kind of versus battles you'd like to see. We'd like to know how you feel about Kia. Is she gonna blow a 3-1 lead? is she gonna blow a 3-1 lead? Probably, but
probably not.
Probably not. But you know, if you do, you want to see more? You want to hear more Kia trash talk, or do you want to see her maybe limp into the finish? Who would you like to see? Again, like I always ask, we only have 8 delegations this time out, but we're always looking for more delegations. If you're a member of a different group and you'd like to see your group represented in the racial draft, hit us up, and we'll talk to you about bringing you in for season 2. But do you have any final thoughts?
No, I'm just just I was glad I was here to not make it so awkward for you. I'm always happy to help.
Cool.
I don't really have that many more final thoughts.
All right.
Just gonna see how everything plays out from here on.
All right.
Yeah.
Until next time, guys. All things are possible.